you want to be a first responder?
Yes. When I was in the second grade, where I was living at the time, a neighbor's house caught on fire during the middle of the night, and I snuck out of my house, and without my parents knowing it, and I went over and watched what took place. What the people did to extinguish that fire. And from that point forward, I always said, I'm going to be a fireman when I grow up.
So, do you have a plan in place if a natural disaster was to occur?
We have to plan for everything, and that's really hard to do sometimes. Not only is, we're with the fire department, but, we have medical calls, natural disasters, all kinds of different circumstances, particularly for natural disasters. We have to look at, okay, what is the hazards for our community where we live? There's certain parts of the country or different countries, their hazards, the likelihood of their hazard may be differently. We're not going to have a hurricane here in the city of Florence. We may have a tornado.
Yeah.
We have other things, ice storms in the wintertime, those kinds of things. So we take into account what the hazards that we anticipate to face, and then we build a response plan. Okay, if this happens, what is our first priority? People, the life safety of people is always our first priority. We take care of that need, then we say, okay, what's the next couple of priorities that starts trying to support the services that our people and our public's going to need? And basically we have a checklist that we start working down, and we have people assigned and resources that we can task each one of those with, and we practice that on regular intervals and make the plan work to the best we can.
Yeah, because people and public is the first enemy of the country.
Absolutely. We've got to be the first priority.
Yeah. So what thoughts do you have about the natural disasters that have been happening around mass media? It has like in Florida and Texas. So what do you?
Yes, those are some prime examples. Florida has, through the years, have had hurricanes.
Yeah.
That's one of their target hazards for natural disasters. They know and they anticipate at some point they're going to have to be ready for that. Well, that same kind of effect that they have had for hurricanes, that's probably their number one big, large-scale natural disaster they're facing. We take that same type of mentality and translate it to our city and say, okay, we're not going to have the hurricane, but this is what we're going to have. We have to build that plan. Now, looking at those agencies and how I feel like they've responded, that is a very challenging incident. And there are lots of circumstances and dynamics in play. And you can't stop any of them initially. All you can do is respond to them after they've happened. You try to get the people out of their aware and out of harm's way, and you look at what's happening once it passes through, and then you go to work. I think overall they have done an exceptional job. Like I said, it's a very daunting task, a large challenge in front of you. But I think they're doing very well.
Yeah, because we don't know when the natural disaster happened.
That's correct.
Yeah, so we need to have a plan A or plan B and whatever, but we need to make effort for the people and public.
That's exactly right. The people and the public has got to be number one.
Yeah, it's number one.
That's what we're here for, and that's why we're called public safety.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we're in this business.
Okay. So has Florence ever experienced a natural disaster?
Yes, they have. Particularly in 1994, we had an ice storm that devastated this area. There were lots of people in need. There were lots of normal day-to-day services that are provided for the public. Everything came to a standstill. We had thousands of people with no electricity. Some of those people for nearly a month. So there was a lot to do with that incident. That's why still today, ice storms, winter events like that are still one of our target hazards that we plan for and constantly stay ready for. Particularly this time of the year when we're getting to the fall, end of summer, looking at winter approaching, we start reviewing those plans. We start preparing for that kind of event because it's the upcoming season.
Yeah.
But that probably stands out more than anything else as far as a natural disaster for the city of Florence area. We've had some tornadoes in neighboring communities, but that's really the one that's affected the city the most. There were some people that lost their lives. There were a lot of people that had a lot of property damage. A lot of things in a very bad time, but we used the plans that was in place and we overcome it.
So have you helped other communities that have been victim of natural disasters?
Yes, we have been very fortunate to be able to help some of our neighboring communities and cities. In 2011, this area, North Alabama, well, lots of areas, but particularly North Alabama was devastated by tornadoes, multiple tornadoes that came through. I actually get to work with a FEMA response team. We have some team members here that are on a group, within a group that gets deployed to certain areas for certain type of events. And fortunately, we avoided a direct hit in the city of Florence, but neighboring counties did have significant damage and injuries. We were able to go the same day, that afternoon, down into a neighboring county in Lawrence County and spent about 12 hours there working, assisting, trying to get things opened up and people located that were missing so that resources could come in and start trying to help them out. We spent about 11 or 12 hours working during the night. Came back home, and the following day our team deployed down to Birmingham. And we stayed down there for nearly a week, working 12 hours at a time, assisting those people, debris removal, searching for missing people, trying to restore some normalcy back to the community where we were working right outside of Birmingham. And so the team came back from that part of it, and I actually individually got deployed to the city of Hackleburg in Marion County, Alabama. I worked there for a little over 2 weeks. I worked 18-hour days. Lots of devastation. The city was completely destroyed. Everything. They destroyed their fire station, their bank, their convenience stores, their city hall, the police department. Everything was completely destroyed, and lots of need there to be addressed. And unfortunately for them that it happened, but we were there to provide some assistance and had some people that could help. Neighbors helping neighbors, and that's what we should be. That's what we should be doing. And we have been fortunate enough to have some people that could do that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's very difficult to rebuild, but we must do.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so do you still fully obey the superior command when you faced the emergency situation because the natural disaster that is? So.
Yes, decisions and the decision makers have to be at least somewhat identified before the emergency happens. We have what we refer to as a chain of command. Everybody is responsible for reporting to someone, and who that person is identified ahead of time. Take myself, I'm the deputy fire chief for the City of Florence Fire Department. I have a fire chief over me, but as far as our department goes, I'm the second in command. I have people that's now identified below me throughout the departments in different ranks and different job functions that I coordinate with, and it's just a domino effect, rolls down the line. So when these types of incidences occur, you have to have that command structure, that chain of command, so that I know what's going on and I know what needs to be communicated down the line, and I task different individuals with different job functions based on the circumstances we face, and as they are taking care of the business, they report back to me their progress and the status. And if it gets to a point that they completed a task, okay, I assign them another task. And we have prioritized everything, and we just work down our priority list based on the hazard and the events that have taken place with that particular disaster, storm, or what have you. But public is number one. Accountability of our own people ranks number two. I task people to do the job. I task a group of people. there is a representative within that group that's responsible for that group. I'm responsible for all of them, but I communicate to the representative. And that's an example of chain of command. I give them down a task, they go out and do the work, they report back to me, either we completed this task or we need more help. This is more than what we anticipated. If that's the case, I find me another group of people to task with them and they jointly do the effort. But what we can't have, and I think this is the root of your question, is freelancing. We are there to do an organized professional job under very difficult circumstances, and that chain of command has to be in place to keep the accountability of our people and the public and the task and priorities that's identified. We have to follow that. We use that day to day, on day-to-day emergency business, calls, just our normal day. And we have to do that same thing. It's just on a different scale for some type of natural disaster or large-scale event. Yes, I agree. One thing that we have the ability to do, you look at a fire.
Yeah.
We have